Yo everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a review as well as a demo of the brand new Huda Beauty Rose Quartz eyeshadow palette. Huda Beauty generally tends to release an eyeshadow palette towards the beginning of November, and that's when this was released on the 1st of November, and I picked mine up literally a couple of days ago. I've used almost all the shadows in here so that I can give you guys a proper and honest review. So firstly, this retails at a whopping £58, which is generally the price that Huda tends to charge for her eyeshadow palettes. They are considered more kind of on the higher end of the market. Now, if like me, you are subscribed to Feel Unique, you can have Huda Beauty set up as your brand for life. So meaning no matter what I buy from Huda Beauty, I will always get an automatic 10% off. And then I also had £10 worth of vouchers. So technically I had quite a decent amount of money taken off of this, which is great. Now, first off, let me show you the packaging, which by the way, I absolutely love. Matches the background, not accidental by the way. So my lights are quite bright in here, so I've tried to dim them slightly just so that you can see the cardboard box. It just says rose quartz on it, and it's very, very faint in the background, little bits of pale pink sort of designs. This definitely has to be probably my most favourite packaging to date in terms of the front cover of one of her eyeshadow palettes. It's got the rose quartz design, it's got the whole beautiful marbled kind of effect. It looks luxurious, it looks stunning, it looks high quality, and it comes in this plastic packaging which you then open up, and inside you can see all the eyeshadow palettes, and of course there's a mirror on the top as well. Now altogether there are 18 shades, and this is kind of a cool toned palette which Huda doesn't normally tend to come out with, so it's definitely a first for her. Generally Huda comes out with much more warm toned palettes. Now I'm sure a lot of people will be thinking, okay, so she's released quite a few of palettes like this now. What's different? What's so good about this? Now, I personally have to say that although I love the eyeshadows in here, I kind of feel like this is a been there, done that. As much as she has tried to even incorporate kind of more brownie sort of colours on my skin tone, they still come up mauve. It's like the brand seems to be stuck in this whole mauve cycle, and no matter how much I apply it or blend it out, it still retains a certain type of mauve on my eyes. Now I do love the fact that there is an equal mix of shimmery, foiled kind of shades as well as matte shades, which is always great. I hate palettes where you've got loads of shimmery shades and 2 matte shades. You'll obviously go through the matte a lot quicker. So I like the fact that there is that mix. Then there's that shade in the middle, again what I like to call COVID, because that's what it looks like. It's gross, I don't like it. I tried it out once. I suffer from trypopophobia, which is an irrational fear of things that look like tumours and circles, and I honestly struggle to even look at that. And it's like this strange glossy kind of thing where it feels like lip balm, and then if you smush your fingers inside it, you can see there are broken up, crushed up pieces of pearl. It's sticky. It's not really something that I would even like to put on my eyes. I tried once, and what happened was my lower lid kept sticking to my top lid, and I was just like, what's the point of this? I personally am not a fan of it, and that's the reason why I also didn't buy the corresponding highlighter that came out with this palette, because it was literally like this but just a larger version of it, and I was like, yeah, it's not for me. Let me just read off of whoever's website what the description of this palette is. It says, inspired by Huda's favourite crystal, the Rose Quartz eyeshadow palette features 18 rosy and earthy shades in innovative textures with intense one-swipe pigment. Extraordinarily easy to apply and made to pop on all skin tones. Use this palette to effortlessly recharge your makeup looks, even if you're a beginner. The palette boasts identifiable quads within its colour story, making it easier to find shades that go together to create one seamless look. Plus, this array of hues displays an incredible textures that make eyeshadow application all more fun. Pick and mix between a new translucent gloss, that's not new, it's been out before, with encapsulated holographic white and pink shards of pigment for a crushed stone glazed effect. 3 quartz inspired shimmering marbles, 3 high shine metallics, 3 soft shine metallics to give a gentle gleam, and finally 5 velvety soft mattes. There are 8 mattes in here. I don't understand who wrote this. I'll forget about the maths side of things. The quality of the palette is excellent. I can't fault Huda Beauty's eyeshadows. They've always been my favourite. They're the ones that I go to all the time, the ones I reach for all the time. Every time you see me do my favourites videos, you will generally always see me mentioning some sort of Huda Beauty eyeshadow product or a lip product. Right now I'm wearing Huda Beauty's Trophy Wife, which is literally one of my favourite liquid lipsticks and the perfect shade for brown skin tones. Now, in terms of whether or not this is worth purchasing, now the thing that I struggled with is, you can see this makeup look that I created. I felt like I've done this before. I was like, is this like the Mercury Retrograde palette again? And then I looked at that palette and I was like, no. So I don't know if it's just me that thinks that this seems like I've seen it before, I've done it before sort of thing. Now, even though this is called Rose Quartz, I personally would have hoped for a lot more rosy kind of shades, a lot more shimmering pinks and that sort of thing, whereas the majority of it is not. You've got two shimmery shades, this one here called Cosmic Love and this one called Moon Magic. They are almost identical in shade. I tried layering on my eyelid to show you guys and I was like, you wouldn't even be able to tell. Again, with that glossy shade, most people, let's be honest, are not going to use it. Then you've got a couple of gold shades, which are, yeah, they're nice, but what's it got to do with rose quartz? Nothing really. And then you've got one or two more deeper shades, which is fine. And yes, I do like the fact that the color story has been created. For example, you can use these four together, you can use these four together, you can use these four together. So it really does help in terms of throwing together a look quite quickly. But in terms of whether or not it's something different and it's something new from Huda, I kind of hoped for a little bit more Huda. Now, as much as I said that this is supposed to be rose quartz and she loves rose quartz, and that's fine, but then I would have hoped for a rose entire kind of palette and not mauve. So for example, this shade here, which is called Cherished, that shows up almost white against my skin tone. It's such a pale pink. It won't go with anyone. Even if you've got really fair skin, it'll just show up as like a dusty white color on your skin tone, but it won't really give much in terms of pigmentation. The quality itself of the matte shades are, as always, pretty much a 10 out of 10. I say pretty much because there's always maybe one or two, normally like the darker shade, which is a little bit more difficult to blend. But generally speaking, I find that they're very, very buttery soft. They only kick up a slight amount of powder and they're not difficult to blend at all. In terms of the shimmery shades, despite the fact that they come in different textures, I find that they're best applied with a finger, and that's exactly what I did. Obviously, you can use a brush as well, but bear in mind some of the more metallic ones definitely are better applied with your finger. The thicker, more foiled ones will apply great with a brush, but always when you want full intensity, you go in with your finger. Because a brush has bristles, it can kind of shear it out slightly, so that's just something to bear in mind. But in terms of the quality of all of those shimmery shades, excellent, cannot fault them at all. I'm obviously giving my personal thoughts, having used every single one of the large Huda Beauty eyeshadow palettes. I've got all of them, and this one, of course, I'll use it because firstly, I paid a lot of money for it. Secondly, the quality is excellent. But is it any different to any of the other ones? Not so much. I feel a lot of the shades have been repeated now, and I really think it's time that maybe Huda changed it up and switched it up a little bit. If you are going to call something rose quartz, you need to make sure that the entire palette covers that term. Whereas, yeah, okay, so it says it's an earthy kind of rosy palette. They're mauve, all right? This one here, Precious, Aura, Gratitude. I wore all three of them on my eyes in my crease yesterday, and I put the gold on the lid, and it was like I'd done your classic kind of purple gold sort of eyeshadow look. I was like, it doesn't feel like there's any kind of brown, there's no earthiness to it, and the earth is not mauve. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to swatch all of these for you. Let me pull up my shirt and swatch it against my medium skin tone just so that you can see how they come out against my color. All right, so let's start off with this first one here, which is called Quartz. So Quartz is a beautiful metallic shade. It's like a peachy gold, very high shine, but obviously this is one of the more softer kind of metallic shades, but great quality nevertheless. This shade here is called Aura. This one is one of the matte shades, and this is definitely a deep chocolate brown, but with like a hint of mauve to it. This shade here is called Gratitude. This is another matte shade, and as you can very clearly see, that is a deep mauve shade. There's nothing earthy about it. It's gorgeous though. This shade here is one of my favorites. It's called Cosmo Love. This one is absolutely stunning. As you can see, it is high shine, metallic, shimmery, and is definitely a duochrome shade, but leaning more towards kind of purple and that kind of color, like purpley blues. Gorgeous and very intense and pigmented. This shade here is called Empowered. This is an absolutely gorgeous color. This is so intense. This one is slightly sheerer than this if you look at this one in comparison. This one is fully pigmented and it's got a really nice buttery kind of texture. It's a very unique color. It's like a bluish purple color. and it's got slight shimmers in there as well. This one here on the end is called Joy. Joy is another very unique kind of shade and has exactly the same texture as the previous one. It's buttery, metallic, soft to the touch, and this one is definitely a pinky yellow gold kind of duochrome. Really unique, beautiful shade. This one here is called Precious. This is another one of the matte shades. As you can see, again, it is buttery soft, very nicely pigmented. It's a grayish mauve color. So not grey, you can see a hint of mauve to it. This shade here is called Energized. Oh my god, I absolutely love this color. It's got the same texture as these two here. Again, it's foiled, it's thick, it's fully opaque, easy to blend, easy to pick up with your finger or a brush. And I love the color. It's like a taupey kind of color, like a taupey silver, and would obviously work beautifully with that color there. And in itself, another stunning shade with great quality. Next up, we've got COVID in the Middle, also known as Love Story. Well, there you go, really. It's glossy and it's got little bits of sparkles in it. Don't know what else to say, really. Next up, we've got this shade here called Cherished. Well, here it is. It's a pale pink shade, matte, and not that great in quality. If you look at it in comparison to the other mattes, it's kind of patchy and doesn't really do much for medium skin tone. Once I rub that out and blend it out, it will pretty much disappear. This next shade here is Blissful. This one is one of those kind of metallic topper sort of shades where it's best layered on top of something else, because on its own it can be quite sheer. However, the colour itself is absolutely gorgeous, a very unique sort of shade. It's like a mix of brown and silver, so it's great to use kind of on the tear duct if you wanted to, or on top of something else. This shade here is called Happiness. This is another matte shade. It's actually what I'm wearing in my crease today. It's a deep blue toned pink colour. It's got great quality, very good payoff, blends very easily, and it's a stunning shade. This shade here is called Mantra. This colour is almost like a kind of charcoal grey brown shade. It's matte, it blends very easily, and it's actually not as patchy as you would expect of something this deep in shade, so it's great quality and great to smoke out looks. This shade here is called Serenity. Another lovely matte shade. This one's like a lilac mauve, and it's matte, blends easily, nicely pigmented and opaque. This shade here is called Abundance. Running out of arm space, you guys. This is, again, similar texture to these thicker metallic shades. It's opaque, it's intense, it's foiled. What a gorgeous colour. This is like a taupey mauve colour. So unique. I absolutely love it, and the quality is excellent. This shade here is called Moon Magic. This one again is like a kind of topper shade. It's absolutely stunning. I'm using this on my tear duct today. It's like a bright violet shimmery kind of colour. Great to use as a sort of a topper. This shade here is called Radiate. This is another matte shade. You can see it right here. It's like another sort of greyish mauve shade. It's easy to blend. It's fairly pigmented, but it's quite a light shade, but it does work against my medium skin tone. And then the last shade here we've got is called Self Love. And this final shade is absolutely stunning. It's another duochrome shade with a mix of kind of peach as well as pink, and it's got a foil sort of finish. I'm using this on my brow bone today. It's a really nice light colour, yet aside from that it still manages to show up beautifully. So here are all 18 shades, just so that you can see what they look like against each other. Alright, so that's it for all the swatches of this palette, and I do have to apologise in case you hear noises because it has become night as I was filming this. This is the week of Diwali. Happy Diwali to those of you that celebrate. And also bonfire night, and every night for God knows how many nights we have to deal with fireworks. So I apologise if you hear any explosions. It's not World War III, it's bonfire weekend in London. So yeah, so what else can I say about this palette? Like I said, look, there are some gorgeous shades in here. It's just that some of you may look at it and go, kind of already got that shade, maybe I've already got it. Now, for those of you that are die-hard Huda Beauty fans, and I will not blame you because I love Huda Beauty as a brand. It's definitely one of my favourite brands of all time. You will probably get this just because you are a fan. And more than likely, you will use the majority of the shades in here, exactly as I will. I will not be using the dodgy shade in the middle because I just don't like it. The pale pink shade doesn't really do much for me, but the rest of the shades are ones that, let's be honest, are brown skin friendly. Now, in terms of deeper skin tones, some of the lighter shades may not necessarily work for you. You do have to bear that in mind, that you may have to layer them. The shimmery shades will always work well, but the issue is always matte shades, in that the deeper your skin tone is, if the matte shade is of a similar tone, your skin color can actually eat up that shade. So it may be worth, if you are interested in purchasing this, making sure that you have a white base on before you apply anything else. As long as you do that, every single shade will show up definitely. Now overall, I can't lie, I have to still give this palette a 10 out of 10. Aside from the colour in the middle, which is pretty useless, I'm not going to downgrade it just based on one shade. The rest of the shades perform beautifully. They are perfection. They are intense, they are shimmery, they're gorgeous, perfect for the holiday season. You've got all kinds of shimmers from golds to kind of taupey colours to your more kind of purpley sort of shades. But the one thing I do have to say is it's a shame that despite this being called rose quartz, there isn't anything that I would actually determine as a rose shimmery shade. The closest shade you've got to rose is the one in the corner, which is called Happiness, but the rest of them don't really say rose quartz to me, or even rose. They're more kind of on the more mauvey, kind of purpley sort of sides, and obviously that's why I'm wearing this purple shirt, because I knew that the look that I would end up coming up with would lean more towards purple, and that's exactly what you can see on my eyes. But overall, I still think that it's an excellent palette. A lot of you will love this, especially if you're new to Huda Beauty and you were potentially interested in getting this. You won't be let down. You will still use all the shades and you will still love it. So that's it for my review of the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz Eyeshadow Palette. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you've got any comments or questions, feel free to let me know below. Other than that, I hope you guys are wonderful, you're beautiful and you're great, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!